Our MC for the night, Jeannine Luby. She's a Scranton comedian. Introduce Jeannine.
Well, how's everybody doing tonight? Good? Oh my gosh, wow. You know, I'm just excited to get out of the house. The spring weather has been great, but I feel like I've been cooped up for so long. I've been watching like way too much television, especially like those CSI shows. And it's easy because they're on like every hour. You know, CSI Miami, New York, LA, Punxsutawney, Saskatchewan. I think Fargo's next. I'm not really sure. But I think it's starting to like really invade my thoughts because I'm becoming obsessed with this idea of being murdered. And you know, it's really scary because if you watch those shows, they send like a whole crew of investigators in, and they're like tearing up these houses looking for clues. I'm just worried about what they might find at my house, you know? I mean, I'm not the neatest person in the world, so now I've started thinking, okay, well, if I get murdered, I hope my murderer has OCD. And I hope he cleans up, like, really well afterwards, you know? Finally, my CDs and DVDs will be alphabetized. Something I never find time for, you know, the oven will be clean, the freezer, you know, I just don't want my poor parents to be humiliated about what a slob their daughter was after I passed, you know? And that could be why I'm not really, you know, dating anyone right now, but I keep looking, you know? I feel like I'm at this great age to date, you know, I'm in my 30s, and I feel like I can date a range of guys, you know? I can date a guy who's studying the history of Pearl Harbor, or a guy who's made history at Pearl Harbor. You know, I just feel like I have that flexibility, you know. It just depends on what kind of night I want, you know. Do I want to do keg stands at the frat house, or do I want to call bingo at the nursing home? You know, I mean, what kind of excitement am I really in for? And I always say, my motto is you got to be in it to win it, you got to play to win. You wouldn't expect to win the lottery if you weren't out there buying tickets. Well, if I want to be in a relationship, I have to keep leaving myself open to opportunities. And God bless my married friends, they try to fix me up all the time. And I'm like, that's fine, go right ahead. But they start to insult me because as my age goes up, apparently my criteria is supposed to go lower. Because my one friend, Sharon, right, she'll call and she'll say, okay, you know, Lee's working with all these engineers and we have one we think you're really going to like, but we just thought we'd ask this one important question. What's more important to you, hair or teeth? I'm like, kind of not a really fair question, but then I guess I turn into like this finicky bitch because I not only want hair and teeth, but I want the guy I date to have a few other things, like, oh, I don't know, a job that pays in US dollars. You know, I'd like him to have a visible waistline, an IQ as high as my nephew so that I can talk about things other than cartoons. And I'd love it if his residence wasn't shared with his mother or 50 inmates. These are, you know, I know I have high standards, they're almost impossible. But, you know, so when you have a hard time meeting someone, or I should say I do, I decided this past summer, okay, summer's supposed to be all about romance, I would try something different. So I dipped my foot, and a lot more than that, into the kiddie pool of dating. And I dated someone 10 years younger than me. Well, it was a fun experience, but I should have known the minute he walked through the door with his backwards baseball cap, his fraternity sweatshirt and flip-flops that we might not be at the same, you know, crossroads in life. But I thought I'd try it. So our biggest thing that we had to get over in the beginning was the language barrier. You know, he would call me and he'd say, dude, my phone is blowing up. And I didn't understand what the kids were saying, so at first I was like, oh, we must get to AT&T, his cell phone is malfunctioning. And then he would tell me, oh no, it's just all my friends calling me, my phone's blowing up. And I was like, well, clearly from looking at you, why wouldn't it be? And then he'd call, you know, at night and he'd say, oh, I was hanging out with my friends. You know, we were chilling, we were just burning. And at first I thought, uh-oh, he's got flu or something, he must have a fever. And then I worried that he hung out with like pyromaniacs. But he quickly explained to me that burning means smoking pot. Okay, so we didn't have hobbies in common either, and we didn't share things like ambition or a paying job. But, you know, it was fun while it lasted, but then I got to a point where I'm like, you know what, I'm in my 30s, I definitely want to be married someday, and I may still want to hold out hope to have children, not date them. So I just try to picture a future with him, and I never want the pediatrician to be confused about who gets the lollipop. So, yeah, so it's not all bad. I've at least been able to do something fun with all my bad dating history. If you look on your tables tonight, you'll see a postcard that says, "He's not Prince Charming when, ... That is my first book that I just published a couple months ago, so humorous, and it comes only somewhat from my pain. Some of it is actually imagined. But, you know, I figure if you're going to date and you have some bad dates, you might as well try to turn them into something like a profit, you know. So check out my website, notprincecharming.com.